Hey next door app neighbors, it's Mario here again. How are you? If you love to bake, you know there's a problem when it comes to getting some consistent rise to the dough because the temperature varies in your house and you don't always get it rising properly is really what it boils down to. So the baker in our house is Angelita, and she faced that challenge many times. She's a wonderful baker, but at times that dough just wasn't going to rise the way she wanted it to. So I looked around and I thought, okay, what can I do about this? I'm smart, I'll come up with an idea. Well, you can buy proofing cabinets and all sorts of expensive equipment, which we couldn't afford, frankly. So I decided to come up with my own idea. So we're going to use our oven cavity as the main cabinet for the proofing, and then a couple of hardware pieces to ensure that we have a consistent temperature and the dough will rise perfectly each and every time. Let's have a look. Okay, so how are we going to keep a consistent temperature in our oven cavity so our dough rises properly? And it's actually pretty simple. This little device is called an Inkbird temperature controller, and it really only has a simple function in life. There's a bottom end temperature setting, which means when I get to whatever this temperature is set at, turn something on. And this is the sensor that's going to be in the oven. So let's assume we want it to turn on at 80. And what temperature do we want it to turn off at? I'm just picking 85. Now you can have a temperature variance of only 1 degree. So what would happen is if you wanted this to turn off at 81, you would change the top setting to 81. Keep your bottom setting at 80. So in essence, it holds it no colder than 80 degrees. And if you had it set to 81, it would be no warmer than 81 degrees. So here's where you can fine tune what temperature your dough needs to be at to rise properly. This side of the indicator just tells you what temperature it currently is. So right now we've got 72 degrees, which nothing's going to happen because this is set at 80. And a high end of 85, and this is going to be in your oven and basically monitor the temperature for you. Whatever we plug into here will come on or go off depending on what this temperature setting is. So I'm going to show you what we're going to plug in to keep your oven at a consistent temperature. So here are all the different pieces that we need to do to assemble our proofing cabinet, okay? And this is really super simple to do. First thing you want to do is you want to buy one of these adapters, okay? I've included links in my post, and really we've got a light bulb thread on one end that's going to go into the oven, assuming you have a light in your oven that you can replace light bulbs on. The other end is going to hold the light bulb. And we have a little piece here which is going to give us the ability to plug into this once it's plugged into the oven. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece, we're going to screw that into this piece. Nice and simple. So that leaves us a little female connection here. Then what we want to do is we want to buy a tap cube that has 1, 2, 3 holes on the front. You don't need to have 3 outlets. You can have 1 if you want, okay? And I show you a link in the video where you can get one of these. But the back end is important. We only want to have 2. 1, 2 prongs like this, okay? So 2 in the back, 1, 2, 3 in the front, okay? So basically there's a reason for that. We're going to take this, and we're going to plug this into the front of this unit. So now you've got this piece going on here. This is going to screw into where your light bulb is in the oven, okay? Eventually, this Inkbird controller is going to plug into this piece, and that is why we need 3 up front. If you see, it does have a 3rd prong, a grounded prong on it, okay? So what we're going to do, once this is installed, we're going to plug this into the front of this unit, and that's the way the unit is going to look. Once that's in, you're going to take this piece. And this is just a light bulb adapter with a light bulb thread on one end and a plug on the other. We're going to put that into the front of this unit, like so. Then you're going to take a 100 watt rough service light bulb. We don't want to use an LED bulb, we want to use a bulb that generates heat. LED bulbs do not generate heat, okay? So you can get a 100 watt rough service light bulb. It's an old style incandescent and they do get hot. And that is going to screw into the front of this. this whole contraption is basically going to mount inside your oven, and this temperature probe is going to control what happens. So really the way this comes down to it is this temperature control is going to detect whatever the low temperature is that you have set in the Inkbird, turn the light bulb on, it waits until the cavity of the oven gets warm enough that you don't want to go over the temperature setting that you have. Let's say it's 85 as a high end. When it reaches 85, the Inkbird is going to turn off the light bulb. And then it's just going to sit there in the off mode until the temperature drops back down to whatever your low setting is, okay? It's a really simple process. So I'm going to show you how to hook this up into your oven, and we'll go from there. All right, so here we are at the oven. Now the first thing we want to do is make sure that the light bulb that's in there already doesn't come on, because it will be hot when you try to remove it and you don't want to burn yourself. So there is a button usually mounted on the face of your oven that turns the light on and off when your door is open and closed. Failing that, you may have a button up top that turns it off. So I'm actually holding the button at the face of the unit to keep it off, because if I let go, it's going to come on. So we don't want to have power to it. So we're going to take out our 40 watt appliance bulb. You got to be careful because they can be hot. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece. We assembled this earlier on. We've got the adapter with a multi-tap in front, okay? So we're going to screw that into the cavity of the oven, right? It doesn't have to be tight, like so. Then we're going to take our Inkbird adapter, which is this piece, and we're going to push that into the adapter. Now if I let go of the button that's keeping the power off right now, we're going to see that the Inkbird adapter has just lit up. And currently what it shows is that we have 77.9 degrees in the oven. It's because we had it on recently to bake, and a low end of 80 and a high end of 85. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this adapter, and this we're going to put directly into the Inkbird. And what will happen? The light will come on. Why will it come on? Because it is currently 77.9 degrees and the temperature low end is set to 80. So of course it will come on. Once it reaches 85, the light bulb will go off. So once you close your door, you can set it and forget it, because basically at this point it's going to monitor the temperature in your oven and turn the light bulb on or off accordingly, and holding a perfect temperature. And remember, you can even have a 1 degree variance. You can have it set for 84 bottom end, 85 high end, whatever you choose. About the highest you're going to get a 100 watt light bulb to go is probably about 108 degrees inside the cavity of this, which is actually quite a bit of a temperature, okay? And to get a more accurate reading, take your cable for your sensor and put it down at the bottom of the oven. Keep it away from the light bulb. Matter of fact, furthest point on the bottom would be best. Why? Because then you ensure that the temperature where the probe is the temperature that you set it for on the Inkbird. So in this case, it will know when it's 80, turn the light bulb on, and it will know when it's 85 and turn the light bulb off. Once you have your door closed, that's it. Your bread, your dough is going to rise to a nice even rise because you're providing it a constant temperature. And as I'm discovering, a lot of doughs require a different temperature to rise perfectly. So the nice thing is by pushing these buttons on the Inkbird, you can set to whatever temperature you want within reason. And you can go down as low as 70 degrees Fahrenheit and as high as 108 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's a pretty broad spectrum to be able to give you a decent temperature for your dough to rise. Really, that's it. The next thing I'm going to show you is, what if you don't have that outlet in your oven? There is another way to do this using a simple extension cord, and I'm going to show that to you next. So what happens if you don't happen to have this outlet in the back? You still want to be able to use this method. It's very simple, really. Get yourself a very light extension cord, okay? Something that's flat like so. Take your multi-adapter by itself. It's got 2 prongs. Plug that into your extension cord. And you wind up with a system like this, okay? Then take your Inkbird and plug that adapter into the tap like so. Take your light bulb with the prong end, plug that in to the Inkbird like so. The light instantly comes on. Set that wherever you want in your oven. You can arrange the extension cord that works best for you. Take your temperature probe off the Inkbird, okay, and put that as far away from the light as you can at the bottom of your oven. It's basically the same principle as using the oven light that's built in there, but not everybody's going to have that. When you close this door, this white cable is flat enough that it's not going to be a problem. If you look at your door, you'll see that there's a gasket, a seal around it. And when you go to close up your door like this, what's going to happen is that seal will close up right around the gasket and the extension cord, and keep that heat in there. You're going to lose virtually no heat, but it's a nice principle again, because it's very simple, and that way you don't have to go inside and unscrew that light bulb. So if you don't have that light, use the secondary method. It works fantastic, and take my word for it, your dough is never ever going to rise any better than this, and it's a cost-effective way to get it done. Have fun baking. Take care. That was pretty easy to do, right? It doesn't take a lot of effort. You can assemble the parts yourself, and the cost isn't that great that you can't afford it, especially if you love to bake. So hopefully this helps you out a little bit, and if you bake anything that you wind up using this method, call me up and send me over a sample. See you around the neighborhood. Take care.